Hey guys, so this is Madhav, and today I'm back with another video. We'll be talking about the preparation strategy that I used for the CA Final SCMP exam, Strategic Cost Management and Performance Evaluation. And I'll also try to talk about the case studies and how to approach them, because the whole concept of case studies in this subject has been quite nightmarish to myself and I guess a lot more out there. So let's get started. So firstly, what is SCMP? So I'd like to start by saying what SCMP actually is. So we all know that the paper is called Strategic Cost Management and Performance Evaluation. But then a lot of them out there are still under the misconception that it is the same as AMA or largely similar to AMA, that is Advanced Management Accounting, which was in the erstwhile old syllabus. That is not the case, guys. Please get that very clear. So your SCMP is not the same as AMA, because the very core concepts or the very methodology of testing has drastically changed from how it was in the old syllabus to that of how it is in the new syllabus. Secondly, so what is SCMP then, if it is not AMA? It is a combination of your strategic management, a more in-depth version than what you studied in IPCC, alongside with costing. So this is what SCMP basically entails. And now let's get to the other very important question. What is the proportion between your practical side or the sums problems that you have to solve and the theory that is in hand? So a lot of people again have a confusion, and a lot of them think that they can manage the theory somehow and then they have to only work out a lot of problems and they practice numerous problems, but then they are blown away the moment they see the paper. That is because of the mistake that they do. They think they can scrape through the theory easily by just reading through some summary points or just a few lines, but that is not going to work, guys. Let me tell you. In this new syllabus SCMP paper, especially if you've picked up the past few attempts papers and looked at the way in which the institute is testing us, there is a large proportion of theory. I wouldn't even say it's 50-50, it is more of a 60-40, right? So please do focus on your theory as much or even more than that of your practical side or the problems that you're going to solve. So that's one thing. Next, the resources that I use and that is generally preferable to be used. As always, as suggested, ICA study material is like one of the best resources for this particular subject. And make sure you're using the latest edition for May 21 exams, because I suppose there are a lot of new case studies, new illustrations and problems, and also a few concepts here and there that have been added for this attempt in the new material. Next is a reference of a quick revision. This is nothing but like a quick capsule that has been issued by the ICAI, which has a summary or a concise version of all the theory concepts from every chapter. And this is a great help, guys, because you can't keep reading through the numerous pages in the study material every time. So once you're done giving it a reading or two, it is high time you shift to a summary material like that of the quick referencer, or by the time if you made your own notes, you could use them as well. And then case study digest. This is something that has come about newly. And in this case study digest, the institute has released a material which is like a compendium of your past exam questions with regards to case studies, case scenarios, and skill assessments. So these are the different types of questions that are covered in that book. And then as always, RTPs, MTPs, and past papers. Again, preferably use a single compiler like a one-stop solution, which has all of this at a single place. So it saves your time and energy. And lastly, revision lectures or videos on YouTube. This is how I generally do it. I put on some concept videos, or there are a lot of amazing faculty out there on YouTube explaining the concepts and revising the SCMP concepts for us for every chapter. Put on a video, maybe in 1.5x or 2x speed, and just keep listening to them. And that helps you retain and recollect the concepts in a better fashion. And then you can move on to solving the problems for the chapters. Now, the major thing, the do's and don'ts for this subject. First of all, do not waste your time by solving any sums or many sums from the old syllabus practice manual, because I know a lot of my friends and some others who have actually spent a large part of their initial days of preparation solving a lot of sums from the old practice manual. The common mentality is that it is the same material costing, it is the same standard costing. How is it going to be different? And Institute has a huge reservoir of questions in the old syllabus practice manual. Then why would one want to skip that? So here goes the answer. Let's take a simple example of the standard costing chapter. If you look into the old syllabus kind of questions, it asks you to compute the multiple variances, and they are all numerical based and computational. Whereas if you pick up some of the questions from standard costing that came in the recent past in May 20 or November 20, maybe in RTPs and MTPs, along with the question and the concept, you are given the computed variances themselves. Now, What do we have to find out in that? Now that's where the trick is. Now you have to apply your mind and get more analytical with it to be able to substantiate as to how and why those figures were arrived at by the management. So for that, you definitely need to know the background and then the ways in which the variances occur and the reasons that cause the variances to be adverse or favorable. So that is where the drastic change between an old syllabus and a new syllabus comes into picture. Next, do not skip even a single chapter, guys. Trust me, it is very, very important to be able to cover every single chapter in this particular subject at least, because you never know the kind of proportion of marks that is allocated for each of the subject. Again, for instance, if you pick up the past few attempts, there have been papers or an attempts wherein just 2 chapters or 3 chapters have covered a huge portion of the marks. Like for example, 70 to 80 marks have come from just 2 or 3 chapters, either leaving out the rest or just having 5 to 10 marks from the other chapters all scattered here and there, which is a very scanty number to rely on, right? So you cannot rely on those papers or subjects. The only thing that has to work is to be able to cover the entire syllabus and cover all the chapters, because you never know what comes for how much marks. Next is, do make note of all the extra points or concepts that you find from RTPs and MTPs. So beyond what you can understand and see from the study material or other resources that you use, there are certain points that come up only in the RTPs and MTPs. Again, for example, in the May 20 RTP, well, we all know that there is a concept of 5S in the Lean System and Innovation chapter. In the May 20 RTP, there was an extra point that mentioned about the 6th S, which is a newly evolving concept of safety. So this was not found anywhere else in any of the textbooks or the materials. So this might come handy when you're actually writing in your examination and you're able to recollect it better. So you might not be able to remember all of it that you just walk past while solving the RTPs and MTPs. So just make sure you make a separate note of the same. Then read through any of ICA's answers fully and focus on the way in which they've presented it and on the analytics that goes behind. By this, I mean to say, not just the past exam suggested answers, but also your other question answers, the illustrations, or any of the test your knowledge questions or book back exercise, any problem for that matter. Just take some time off, at least when you're doing it for the first time, to read the answer from the beginning till the very end, so that you know how they've answered it and how they present their answers. Again, you don't have to by heart them or muck them up to write it just the same way. And that's why I've mentioned the next point. Do not merely try to fill pages in your answer booklet. Because if you have a 10-mark question, that does not mean you need to write 10 or 20 pages. It's always quality over quantity. So just make sure you write the actual correct points with the keywords, explain the concept, address the question, give out a solution. Do not waver much into actually trying to write a huge paragraph or write answers as that of the ICAI, because the suggested answers will be huge and they are pre-printed texts and they have been given from an elaborate concept as an excerpt, but we cannot reproduce it the same way during our exams. So do not try doing that. Instead, just stick to the main concept, but at the same time, try to understand how the institute presents its answers so that it helps you while you write your exams. Then do not try processing the question paper, for heaven's sake, because I know a lot of people who predict and say, okay, this chapter from this, we'll get this question, we'll get that question from that chapter. It is not going to work, people, because there is no perfect trend that is going to be predictable. And they can ask you anything from anywhere. And this is one of the most dynamic papers as it has evolved to be. So do not try prophesying your question paper. Lastly, try to get a bird's eye view about every chapter before you start venturing into it or actually start studying it. Else you'll get lost midway. So you can use the chapter overviews. I've just given a glimpse of it out here. For example, the first one is from the performance measurement chapter, and then next is from the lean system and innovation chapter. So just before you get started with the chapter, first understand what the chapter entails and what it has within. So there is just in time, there is case and costing, there is 5S, there is TPM, cellular manufacturing, Six Sigma, etc. So only when you know the broad gauged concepts will you be able to keep track of how much you cover within a chapter and the minute concepts or the sub points within each of these. Now, let's get to the most important part of the video. So this, by this, I'm trying to address what a difference between the case studies and case scenario is. So your case studies are more in depth and they require you to apply your ideas and insights in a more holistic manner. These are real life problems where you're supposed to give suggestions and solutions. Whereas case scenarios are more appealing and they're more a shorter narrative that you can fastly grasp and understand and just give out solutions for. Case studies are generally generic and they're like a holistic picture is what is being asked for, and that's what you need to do. Whereas case scenarios are more specific to a particular issue or a cause of concern that you might have to address. Lastly, your case studies provide a very wide and depth understanding, and that requires such an analysis to be done. Whereas case scenarios is an in-depth analysis, but of a specific or a particular management dilemma that you have to try and help them solve. Okay, so this is a very important slide, I'd say. I do not know how many of you have seen this in your materials. So the first one here that we see is the first page of your case study module of the study material, which gives you clear-cut points as to how you're supposed to write or present your paper with regards to a case study answer. And the one here, this is another additional resource released by the ICAI, wherein they specifically mention how each of the key terms are supposed to be answered and what you need to do when each of it is asked. So that is, for example, if they say analyze or interpret, summarize, point out, list out, mention, and each of these words like means something different. We cannot take it for granted that a question paper setter has just simply used a word just for the sake of it. But then there is in-depth meaning to it, and they mean to ask you something very specifically, and they want to boil it down to a particular point where you need to know what to be answered for what of the words. So make sure you go through these words once to find out on how you're supposed to answer a question when it is being asked this way. Okay, lastly, this is how I tackled the case studies, which is quite nightmarish. So here I'm giving out a few tips on it. So first and foremost, avoid panicking at the sight of a case study. So the moment you see a case study, do not get scared. It is going to be huge, guys. Trust me, it will be huge. And you need to make sure you're calm enough to read through it completely and try to understand as much as you can. Now, this is the very vital part. Read the questions first. By this, I mean, at the end of the case study or the narrative, you'll be given a bunch of questions or a question or two. Make sure you read them first and understand on what the examiner actually wants or what does the question ask you for. And with that insight or a base idea, then you start reading the case from the top. You would have a better eye to catch those points that are actually necessary to be able to answer those questions. But if you're going to start with just reading the case, it's going to be like a story. And then when you revisit the case after reading the questions, you're going to all the more be wasting time to reread it again and again to hunt out for the answers that match them the best. Then break down the huge case study into segments or parts. Such a dissection will allow for a better comprehension. So the more you break them down into parts and understand each of the paragraphs, the more you'd be able to present a better answer and deliver better content. Lastly, this is a standard pattern of answering that is expected by ICAI for most of the case studies. First, you have to mention the issue in hand that has to be addressed. So what is the problem that is being faced by the company or the management is something you need to summarize in the first place. Next is the concept involved. For example, if it is a TQM or a TPM or a Six Sigma or lean management, anything that has to be specifically mentioned, make sure you mention it in depth and elaborate on the same and explain the concept with the keywords and the points that define it. And then is the explanation and analysis. This is the major crucial part, or rather the very important fulcrum of the whole question. So you need to explain about the entire scenario and link it with the case study that's actually given. So you have to mention the concepts, link it with the case that has been given. Lastly, conclude logically, provide a solution on how to address the issues. So with this, I guess I've covered most of what I could in terms of how I prepared for the subject and how I have tried to face or deal with the case studies. I know it is quite huge, vast syllabus to be covered, and you never know how the questions are going to be. They are non-repetitive also. So there is no point in trying to predict questions or judge how the questions are going to be. So I really hope this video was of some help to you all. Do comment in the comment section below if you want me to post some other video in specific for some other subject or anything else for that matter. And do get in touch to me if you want any help. Thank you so much, guys. Good luck.